Aurora loves it too. Having a blast.
What doesn't Aror love?
I don't know. Oh, actually, Aurora doesn't love soda. Aurora doesn't love unhealthy food at all, actually. He's a very healthy boy.
He doesn't love cursing either. Doesn't curse.
No, he doesn't, actually. That is a fun fact.
Well, you know the best thing about this is we can talk about the players all the time because you talk about no soda. Yammyn doesn't drink soda even. He's very upset that you can't find sparkling water over here so easily.
Oh, yeah, last time
I was really
He's
upset
so
that
upset
I had
about that.
so much sparkling water whenever we went over to Valencia.
Last land, I actually brought
You're a busy
sparkling water for Dimmy and Yammyn specifically. Juggernauts and Minotaurs going to need a little bit more than some carbonation to win this next one. Juggernauts on the clock for the first ban. I expect to see similar bans here that we've seen throughout the series, though, for both sides.
But the question is, Juggernauts, who do they take Osiris? They have to take Osiris, but then who do they give it to? Dimmy? Dimmy? Variety? Or
Yeah, give it to
Kiva?
Variety.
Like,
you give it to Variety.
you can't give it Kiva, right?
No, you give it to Variety. Variety is the guy that wants the Osiris. You give it to him. Surprised at the Robin ban because that's absolutely first pick potential when you've got QvoFred on your team.
Yeah.
Sure, but do you really want to first pick the Raven? And I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Excuse me, I want to take you back to last split, young aggro sir, when you were like, Raven is terrible in the jungle, and I would rather have him in the solo lane.
I'm going to stand up for Bailey because he did say, you know what, when you're right, you're right, and when you're wrong, you're wrong. He did eat his words. He said, you know what, that's true.
So why didn't you use
what
words
you were
all the
talking
time?
about. No, I was about to say, I knew exactly what you're talking about because it's one of the few times that I can remember actually being wrong about something.
So,
it
look
was
at that.
refreshing for a change.
Well, actually, I do want to update everybody. The bans were actually backwards real quick, and it wasn't the Juggernauts that banned out the Robin because they do have the idea when you have QvoFred on your team, you go for the Robin. The Minotaurs go ahead and ban that one out, as well as the Sun
So this is
Wukong
Osiris.
directly
Osiris.
looking at Variety. And yeah, I think we agree that this is going to be
Now,
Osiris.
the question is, though, if that is Osiris, it's not, it's tough. Okay, so they really...
I like this.
They think the tough is more important for the best, and take that away from him is less important than having potentially CaptainTwig on
And I
Osiris
agree.
again.
I agree. Yeah, so do I. I think this is really, really smart from the Juggernauts.
And look at Best. He's like, yeah, it's me that wins.
I was trying to work out, though, with how that would go down is if the Osiris goes there, what would Kiki play into the Osiris? Because Kiki's probably got a god for every situation.
Arachne.
And I'm like, maybe it was the Arachne.
Racked me.
But I don't know if she's about good against
I don't
Osiris,
know,
though.
yeah.
Like,
You're guaranteed melee range where you're getting damage reduction from the beginning of Judgment Tether as well as over time. I don't think that's a good matchup for Arachne.
Sure, but the Skadi is certainly a good one. Not only, again, this is one of those things where, yeah, you're taking it away from BaRRaCCuDDa, but you're also putting it into the hands of emilitoo. Both of these, those are the Skadi players in NA and EU.
I think they were the first Scotty players from each of their regions, too, if I believe correctly. So, yeah, like, it's not a surprise to see them on that. Camazotz as well. That is flexible to Variety in that solo lane, too, which we've seen before, which takes it away from Kiki.
Terra here, I assume, for Juggernauts. I mean, that's been the favorite selection. And yeah, it is. And that's definitely going to Hindla.
Okay.
Middle lane, still available.
Raw again?
I don't think Juggernauts are going to ban it after that performance.
No, I don't think so
Best,
either. And that's why I'm like, I don't mind them leaving it up. And
there it is.
No.
You get the health.
Again.
You get the health.
Is that mid or is support?
And that's why, and so I think it's the mid because Best really likes getting one up on you. And when it comes down to when we saw the Thoth pick, we saw Best cackling like a crazy man.
Yeah.
I think it was, we didn't want to play it anyway.
Do that again?
That doesn't sound anything like
That
that.
sounds exactly like Jeremy
I don't
Daly.
think I've ever heard Best speak, so...
So then you know,
that's what I'm
nobody knows if I'm correct.
That's what I'm kind of like, if that's really his voice, no wonder he doesn't speak so often.
That's what he sounds like, I swear. Ooh, going to be banned out by the Minotaurs. On a serious note, though, I think that Hell could wind up in either hand of the Best or Aurora second time. That flexibility is still on the table.
Or Kiki.
Or Kiki.
Or Hell, or Twig. Like,
Jungle Hell, calm yourself. Calm
Sure.
yourself. Listen,
If
we're having a
someone
bit
was
of fun
gonna do
here.
it-
We're having a bit of fun here. We
It'd
are
be
showing they
zeros.
could flex it, but no.
What?
If someone was going to do it, it'd be Zeros. Zeros played Jungle Giannis. Zeros played Jungle Vulcan.
Yeah.
Not
And
Twig.
or
That's
Captain
because
Twig.
that's because Zeros wanted to play mid lane and Twig wouldn't get out of the mid lane.
Yeah.
In the end, he finally kicked him out of the mid lane and then played Kulkan mid in his first pro game.
I do remember that, actually.
The old days.
Minotaurs banning out or trying to ban away BaRRaCCuDDa from some of the comfortable options as the Nike is banned out. Ooh, wow, really?
So they
Yeah.
think
Really?
that it's going to be Osiris Jungle again, keeping Nike out of Kiki's hands. It's just a comfort pick for Kiki. He's very, very comfortable on it. Always seems to be consistent on it as well.
The Nike just didn't bother me that much. Like, it was good, but it wasn't mind-controllingly awesome.
It's just very difficult to peel a Nike off of someone because she can follow you easily with her jump. Then she's got a massive AoE slow that's incredibly strong that happens to also give her a massive shield at the same time.
So I'm looking at the comps they both drafted before the final picks come through. This hell should go support in my eyes just because of the fact they've got the Thoth and the Camazotz to deal with. Thoth and Camazotz have one-shot capability. Yeah. The sustain from hell is fantastic, but it takes a bit of time to get going and really start to be useful. If it's in the support role and you're going to go all in with the damage from onto the hell, then if it's a mid lane that you're doing that to, big impact. If it's a support you're doing that to, not as big of an impact. And kind of Nuwa showing that.
Nuwa is one of Best's. Again, Best has an eclectic god pool. It's not always what's normal. And Nuwa is one of these characters that he's always willing to take out.
And I like this Nuwa selection because what's this draft going to lack if that's hell in the support? Frontline. Nuwa, one of the better mages at peeling for herself. That movement speed and sort of invisibility with the fog. You've got the root on the auto attack. You've got the ultimate that takes you up. It takes you out of combat for a long time. The stun with the clay soldier. Nuwa can get away on her own much easier than some other mages.
Especially when Camazotz is melee based for the most part. Apart from his abilities, obviously, and the clay minions, they are body blockers too. It just helps out a little bit more to absorb some shots.
Yeah, Nuwa, great selection, and one of the characters that, again, like Best plays her really well. This is one of those choices that you want to go Nuwa, but you're not really good enough at her. Best is actually good enough at her to make this one work, not just on paper, but on the battlefield as well.
I just don't know where we're going to see BaRRa play this game, because he's not going to be able to play Hoya or Skadi taken away too. And I'm kind of like, what do we look at? I'm almost feeling Apollo for a bit of split push antics, because I think split push is being neglected for a long time, but I think with the map being the way it is, Apollo could be useful.
Well, we're going to see the Thor for QvoFred.
Camazotz in the solo lane. Thor for Qvo. Probably thought about the Hunbats, but a god that can get interrupted very easily during overhand smash.
Chiron.
Yeah, Chiron would be excellent.
I'm down for Chiron just because it's extra sustain for the team too. It doesn't match that of hell.
And you can build Brawler's Beat Stick very easily and apply it.
Kill Nuwa in the air too. Yep. When she goes up to try to play defensively, you can still hit her with the masterful shot. Like, there's a lot of things that come into play if you go for the Chiron. And Chiron's fantastic, so...
It's the Cernunnos.
Okay.
I
always forget about that god.
So
I don't know why.
I didn't think it was going to be the Cernunnos, if I'm dead honest. I thought we were going to see an Honor. I thought we were going to see a mid-game Hunter, and Cernunnos mid-late game, right?
But the Anher buff hasn't come in just yet. That's in the RTO patch, and that's probably one of the reasons we've not seen that just yet. Even though I don't think he needed the buff.
Sure, and that's what I'm saying. Even without the buff, I think that the Juggernauts needed a mid-game Hunter. I was leaning towards Anher, but knowing BaRRaCCuDDa, Cernunnos definitely more in his wheelhouse. Last selection for the Minotaurs. Skadi, Osiris, Hell, Nuwa so far. This is likely Kiki's pick, and it will be the Vamana.
Not surprised.
For the record, by the way, this Cernunnos pick is actually really, really smart because you can polymorph the hell. That means she can't cleanse anyone, including herself, for the next 2 seconds, and that's not being affected by diminishing returns.
And it's also along the same lines of using those pigs, turn them all into pigs. They're going to group up for the hell heal. The moment they all try and group for that hell heal, it's piggies everywhere, potentially.
That's the biggest point. That's the biggest point right there, is that Cernunnos is going to be the anti-hell, not traditionally by way of anti-heal, but by anti-positioning.
And can go for the beat stick in the build too, which isn't going to cripple him too much with that beat stick, and be able to apply it relatively well with the Bramble Blast.
Can be, but I expect with this, it's going to be Thor, excellent with Brawler's Beat Stick. Camazotz, excellent with Brawler's Beat Stick. Thoth should probably build Divine Ruin anyways, just in case. There's going to be some pestilences out there. There was no cursed Ankh last time either for this Juggernauts roster up against the Hell. Probably going to go for that if the game is even or close whenever the support's at level 12.
Yeah, that'll certainly be a change for sure. The Vamana on Kiki. This is perhaps the most traditional he goes. Vamana and Kiki's performance on Vamana in the Pro League have left a little bit to be desired, but he still goes back to it.
He always does, but that's a comfort thing too. I guess if you're not sure what you really want to go with, Vamana's always going to be there. And to be fair, when Kiki does play the Vamana, his ability usage is generally very good. He dies, granted, but if he's dying and he's trying to get his ult off and keep the team at bay, he's kind of doing his job.
Variety
Thor solo.
And you know what? I didn't say it, but I was actually thinking about this one. We've seen the Thor solo before, out of Variety specifically, and you were talking about when Best was playing the Thoth, you feed the hot hand. QvoFred was going nuts on the bat before.
I tell you, Trixank is sat at home now. If you saw the Dignitas video that came out earlier this week, I believe, he was laughing at Trix's Thor and in the missed ultimates.
Yeah.
if Variety's going to step in to the finals at Energy Invitational and play Thor, I guarantee you Trix is at home going, I'm recording all this. The moment you make a mistake, I'm calling you out.
But I on the real, I'm not trying to be that guy, oh yeah, I totally predicted this, but in the back of my mind, there was a thought that we would see the Thor solo. He just is strong at what he does. He can clear, he can do the things.
Could be a flex switch up as well, based on the fact that Vamana's there too. So Thor's going to be able to farm it relatively similar to that of Kiki and the Vamana.
Yeah, just the Vamana's got the umbrella like that. And then,
I think he stole them.
Oh, and see, that's another thing. That's another thing that Thor does very well early on is you don't really want to fight him.
No, because his passive is so strong. He's got good base damage on Berserker's Barrage. Mjolnir's attunement, not great at the early levels, but good enough. It's really more about the passive giving you some extra damage around enemy gods.
All these Book of Thoth rushes from the mid laners. It just seems to be like if you can get Book of Thoth, you should be rushing it. It seems to be the call right now.
It's just that every starter item outside of Sands of Time is a little bit underwhelming right now for the mid lane mages. And even Sands of Time, while that 10% CDR is great, and you get the mana regen, if you're on a character like Thoth, who's only using 1 to 2 skills to clear, it's not so bad.
Not so sure about this fight from Twig up against a Camazotz and a Thor, but we'll see.
Well, there's going to be Kiki joining, and the Frenzy comes out as well, but big heal from the Bombasmash for QvoFred. Heal not going to be available a second time, however, big stun coming out of Thor, and Kiki's in trouble, can't get through the wall, finally finds himself out, but he'll be met by Qvo on the backside. Variety, for the first time all series, Juggernauts get the first blood.
But look at what Qvo does here. He's still going in for the kill. Qvo with the leap too. They'll get the double in the end. 2 kills
and
in
the
solo lane. But what Qvo did there was he poked out... Sorry, I forgot. He poked out Twig, but it was the slow onto Twig that meant Twig could get involved, and then went, okay, now we can 2v1 the Vamana and pick up the kill.
And I also love that Variety holds his spin until he gets 2 procs of his passive, where there's 2 gods in range to get that extra bit of bonus power so that he can get in range and get
Jeff's in trouble. Jeff's in a lot of trouble, and there's the Shell being forced out to defend him more than anything else. The cleanse was so good from Hell.
That was a Shell and a sprint.
Yes.
BaRRa doesn't have beads or Aegis. He went with sprint instead. And this is, I really think this could easily become meta for Hunters. Not necessarily sprint first, but remember the old days where it was beads and sprint? This is the best iteration of sprint that we've ever seen. This sprint is objectively better than any sprint ever.
For everybody that doesn't remember Season 1, back in the day we used to see sprint on the Hunters alongside beads. And sprint used to give you Fatalis when you leveled it up. And sprint now gives your whole team Fatalis when you level it up these days.
And that was for 900 gold for one person. This is 500 gold for your entire team.
And you can't even buy Fatalis anymore. So it's kind of like, you know, dipping back into the illegal bag of tricks. It's kind of fun.
It's not illegal, though. I mean,
listen, man. Sometimes you need a little bit of help, and that's what you're getting out of the sprint. So BaRRaCCuDDa and JeffHindla on the left side of the map, trying to deal with Aror and emilitoo over here, and you know that's why that win on the right side was so important for the Juggernauts, because they have to go against this Hell one more time. Get your wins elsewhere, because I don't know what's happening with Aror on that Hell.
Keep an eye out for anti-heal coming through, though. I know it's only 3 minutes in, but I'm already like, anyone started working on anything just yet? Because Auror's just going to continue farming away.
You know, it's interesting, though, as QvoFred pokes out on CaptainTwig and receives some damage himself, but left side, JeffHindla in trouble. The dog, can he make it? Go. Dog. No, he's going to be pulled back.
Nuwa got him. That's 100 damage at level 1, but that was just enough. Twig.
That's a double down, and that is Twig dead. QvoFred credited with the kill again, and Variety going to take out of the fight before he can. Qvo too going to take to the sky, but Kiki giving chase.
That was so beautiful, the way the wall came down, all 3 players. Variety going to stop Kiki in his tracks. Juggernauts are playing like a real squad right now. The way Minotaurs played like a squad from game number 1, Juggernauts have found that real instep line.
Look at Kiki though, still being aggressive on his own in the speed buff area, knowing Aror and Best are clearing out mid wave and rotating. Has his ultimate available still, and trying to keep Qvo in the fight.
Jeff's Monolith actually body blocked those vampiric bats from hitting onto Kiki, so Qvo's going to not be as healthy, but Kiki, very low. Final Judgment secures it for Yammyn.
A little bit late on the ultimate there for the Vamana, so that's going to mean down he falls.
It's the composition that was the issue there. You got a Vamana, a Hell, and a Nuwa walking into a bar that is not on their side of the map, right? And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do with those 3? Where's the CC really coming from? There's not that much other than clay minion stun and some damage in the early game.
Yeah, Ah, man.
It's a little bit too deep, it felt
Yeah,
like.
it was a little too deep. Kiki on the Vamana, not as bounce backable, I think is the phrase I want to use, compared to him on the Camazotz. You have so much, oh, I'm low, now I'm not, I'm low, now I'm not. With the Vamana, you get the one shot with the ultimate, and that's really it. He kind of waited too long to even use that one.
But I like the adjustment that Key's made here. Instead of finishing his boots, he's immediately gone for the silver breastplate. This is as cost efficient as it gets across the entire game in terms of tier 2 items, tons of protection.
Best is in trouble as Cuvo wraps around the corner. The Aegis is not going to take damage from the leap. And into the sky he goes to buy a moment, but when he lands, is he still dead? The walls from Jeff will bring it home.
Cuvo didn't need to go any deeper than that because JeffHindla picks it up underneath the tower. Aror really low and almost dies to that damage from Cuvo.
So unfortunate that TheBest walks into the walls of JeffHindla, because that was the interaction that you were talking about. You're going to get dove. You're going to get dove in the mid lane. Look at their comp. But TheBest can literally go to outer space.
Uh-oh, Twig's in a lot of trouble here. May have to use his ultimate. BaRRa not going to dash aggressively, though, because of how far back Yammyn is and knowing that emilitoo is still in that mid lane.
Look at the lead in the game so far. We've got over 1,000 gold lead for the Juggernauts as it stands, 1,400 to be, 1,400 to be exact, and 1,700 experience. The experience is so key in the early stages because it does mean you've got a couple more levels in your abilities which deal a little bit more damage every single time compared to your opposition.
QvoFred and CaptainTwig going for the tussle in the jungle. Shots from the Thoth over the wall.
Trouble.
Yammyn's not going to be able to make it happen. CaptainTwig over the stun and finds the basics, taking down QvoFred all by his lonesome. Well done.
Cuvo mistimed the jump to break the tether. You have to jump at the exact moment that you're going to get stunned because that's when your immunity frames come in and you wouldn't have gotten stunned. Instead, mistimes it, leads to a death.
And that's what you get for being so deep in the jungle without your ultimate. It's risk versus reward. If he manages to stay on that side, he could potentially find a pick, but in doing so, he puts himself in an awkward spot.
Variety and Kiki having some fun there in the solo lane. Variety just taunting.
I love how Variety's taunting him with
it.
that face in the bottom left-hand corner. Look at his face.
Yeah.
Serious business, but he's like, I will taunt you, I will taunt you, I will
and
taunt you.
Kiki's just giggling on his camera the entire time while he's getting taunted at. I mean, when it comes down to it, there was a lot of noise on the right side early game. Look at the result. Not a lot of experience, and the gold separated by about 900.
Duo lane. Look at the levels of those hunters ahead of solo laners already.
Level 9. That's been basically the meta right now, is that solo laners have so much to contest, and there's so many people in their lane. BaRRaCCuDDa and emilitoo, they get to be on an island for the most part.
And talking about those two again, as you see them trading out, these two give as good as they get, so much so that neither of them really die because they both know their limits until the supports come into play.
Aror going to join up with emilitoo here. QvoFred have to take to the sky one more time. Beautiful wall out of Variety. And it's just going to keep Kiki from finding his safety. To the sky goes both mid lane and Thor, but Thor probably more impactful. Lands in the mid lane, but he misses.
Not quite there in time. Kiki jukes out that final judgment. This time, Variety forced to get out. Had the bracer, but still not enough. Twig gets stunned out. Yammyn making it happen yet again.
Good wall from Variety, but not clean enough to get any follow-up. Kiki still battling away his Cuvo, but Emil round the back, the cheeky so-and-so picks up a free kill and happy to tank half a tower's worth of his own health.
Because he knows he has Aror there with the cleanup. QvoFred gets slowed. Kiki don't go in that. That is way too much. But the rest of the team go right for it. Nice little transformation by BaRRaCCuDDa. There's a sprint to get rid of the slow. Surrounding the hunter is everyone else.
But BaRRa still has his dash. Emil looking for the slow. Needs one more call here. Gonna gobble him up for the meal. Emil, big rotation out of him. Gets 2 kills there. Huge gold lead for him.
Big for Minotaurs because now the Gold Fury is available on this left-hand side. Yammyn's up, but Yammyn used his ultimate in the last fight. They don't really have the health pools here to do this. As in, sorry, mana pools, I should say, because they need the abilities. And I think with Variety showing face, it's enough to make the fight end. But it was a long one.
Yeah, just the bananas over there for the Minotaurs over there, able to really clean things up. 300 gold now separating the squads here. So all that noise that Juggernauts made in the early game with the Thor and the QvoFred beating everybody up, much ado about nothing. Minotaurs looking for the ending into the series in Game 4.
So the one thing I always have said, for me personally, I class an assassin as half a frontliner. A warrior is a full frontliner, he's worth 1. A guardian is a frontliner, he's worth 1. An assassin is worth half.
Why is that?
If you run to, because most of the time they can't stay in the fight as long as an assassin or a warrior or a guardian can.
Sure.
So they can stay in about half the time, deal decent damage, and then they have to fall back. Running 2 assassins on a composition gives you 1 whole guardian or 1 whole frontline. but that means you've got to dive in, dive out, and Variety and Qvo have to consistently do that, whereas Kiki and Twig, they just stand there.
At the same time, not all assassins are created equal, and I think Thor...
Same with warriors.
Thor, once upon a time, used to be a warrior and still retains a lot of that. Having the ability of the wall available to him really makes him more troublesome than some of the other assassins.
But most assassins rely on abilities more often than not, especially with Carly.
BaRRaCCuDDa takes a big chunk of damage there from Yammyn. Now he's going to go up and again around the back.
Yammyn's dead.
Comes emilitoo, cleaning up the mess that the rest of his team made.
Let the hunter play like an assassin. You want to talk about 0.5? He's a 100% assassin here, looking for the flanks, finding them, and then even sniffing out the kills with his dog friend.
Delayed double, but now he turns towards Jeff, who's just dancing around on ice. I don't think he wanted to. Sign him up for a reality show, though. emilitoo will fall back to the safety of his tower as BaRRaCCuDDa and Variety turned up, and that's why emilitoo disappeared again afterwards.
Kiki dies to the hand of Variety during the middle of the team fight.
2 for 2. Yammyn with a good ultimate there to try and focus out best, but I don't know if that's the best target, no pun intended, because he's so far back in that team fight, and he still has ultimate available. Very difficult for the Juggernauts to get on top of that mid laner, whereas CaptainTwig was right in front of Yammyn there. It was just that his wall was a little bit misplaced if that was going to be his target. Sure, he does a good job of at least getting a priority target in the best.
But emilitoo's putting a target on his back on purpose. He's trying to bring the team into play a little bit more, especially with how the solo and jungle worked at the beginning of this game. But with all these rotations around the back, he's got to be careful because if they ward up, they can catch him doing that and pick him off quite easily.
Tier 1 tower goes down to the hand of Variety. Now Kiki looking to punish him just a little bit.
No beat stick.
Gets the ultimate forced
but
out.
Beat stick for Qvo, and he's coming around the backside. No one even close. CaptainTwig on those back right harpies. No way to interrupt this dash, so Qvo just going to take the poke. Variety level 13 right now. I'm interested to see where Variety's going to go with this build. Does he go a little bit more tag heat? Does he go standard solo lane? Or does he keep the damage coming? Honestly, I think I'd like to see him go for a Brawlers here.
Well, he's got Gladiator Shield, which isn't something you normally see in a jungle Thor. Normally it'd be Shifters and Brawlers and Jotuns and Titans. This time, a little bit more survivable with that he's going to get from it, especially because he's not going to be in the jungle as much, using that Bumbers as much.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be able to get that heal. And like I said, Thor kind of operates the passive is still warrior-esque, Tectonic Rift, an extremely warrior-type ability.
Is that Witchblade? Is he bringing up?
Looks like a wing blade. Well, so we can go a bunch of different ways.
Sure, that's what I meant. That's what I was like. Is it going to be Witchblade? Because I knew it was a tier 2.
Well, as we talk about it, look at that.
Winged blade. So a lot of slows on the side of Mantacores. I like this option. Not only does Kiki have a slow with the Umbrella Rang, CaptainTwig with the 1. Aror has a pretty potent slow on that Dark Stance 2, the Decay. So I like this idea. It's a little bit more. It's not outright defense, but it's survivability, its movement speed allows him to get around the fight a little bit more, and Winged Blade from ahead makes you feel like a full tank item.
Is it still got the attack speed on it?
Health. I don't believe so. No,
okay.
it's got
I was just
CCR.
wondering because attack speed is not terrible on Thor because you will weave a couple of in-hands in, which potentially can help you out later on. But I just wanted to check because these are the item changes that you're always checking out.
Crowd control reduction more useful in this sort of scenario, anyways. Variety just off the mark there with the hammer. That would have spelled a death for Kiki there.
Wrong side of the wall. That was the only real problem with that one. 8-6 though, Juggernauts, with the lead that they started off with this game, you can see how Mantacores just keep battling back, and for me, a lot of that is because Auror's starting to come online with the Hell and get the levels that's required to make her cause issues. Hold that thought as BaRRaCCuDDa gets hit for a moment, and in the jungle, Qvo versus Twig, and Twig's dead because Variety turned up.
Up on top, and there's Nuon taken to the sky just for some extra damage, and also the vision, wanting to see where the rest of the team is, making sure nobody finds the flank. Kiki getting out of trouble as QvoFred finds himself in trouble, and there's the ultimate. Shell is good, and the ultimate is good as well. Is he still dead, Hindu?
Yes, because Kiki should be able to cancel and chase afterwards. That's what I'll be looking to do. But JeffHindla to the rescue.
Plus, Qvo throws his 2 onto the Portal Demon to give him a little bit of extra health just in case. Qvo able to disengage, Variety taken up to the sky.
Notice as well that emilitoo and Yammyn were both at that fight because Yammyn and emilitoo having a little bit of a scuff in the mid lane, but this time Yammyn was very aware of it and stayed in position to make sure emilitoo couldn't get involved either.
Variety looking really good on this solo lane tier.
That's what Vamana does. That's what Vamana does best, is what you just saw to Yammyn. Knock him in the air. Can't beads when you're in the air. It's not going to do anything. Yep. You're going to get free damage. You can't dash away either.
Yeah, really difficult to deal with as a mid laner because it's guaranteed damage. Yes, he has to dump his whole kit, but it forces Yammyn back to base, which may be enough to open up this Portal Demon. Qvo should recognize it now, but I think it's too late.
No ult.
I thought he might have been able to find the bats just in time, but just a hair too late.
But all of QvoFred's abilities on Camazotz are body blockable. As long as someone's just putting themselves between Qvo and the Portal Demon, that's secured every time.
Best juking his best out against Qvo, and that wall the wrong side for Variety to keep him trapped in place. Twig going to turn up and make sure it's a 4v3 in the mid lane at least. Left-hand side, emilitoo is taking BaRRa's tower and doing a good job of it. Is the rest of his team keeping them busy in mid?
You know, even with Juggernauts having the 4 versus Mantacores 3 in the mid lane, I still think that was a positive fight for Mantacores, which was why that disengage was so important from Juggernauts. 2 players left-hand side looking towards emilitoo. The Aegis is done, and the HP might be as well.
He's trying to buy time for Aror to get here, but Aror will not be there in time. He has to fall back towards the best, but they could collapse on the Manticores here, but I don't think Qvo recognizes it with Yammyn. Otherwise, they could have just pincer moved them towards the mid lane.
But look at where 2 members are for the Manticores, pushing that right side tier 2. This is an opportunity for a Gold Fury.
And there's the ult from the new one, not necessarily for defense, which it was realistically, but it will give vision of where everyone was on the map. And the end is nigh, says Yammyn. His best did get his ult off. He gets one off in return.
Variety versus 2 here on the right side. I feel like Mantacores need that tier 2 tower to make that play count. As the Gold Fury goes away of Juggernauts and the kill onto Aror, 3,000 gold in the lead. They find themselves separated away from the Mantacores. Mantacores needed that 1,500 from the tier 2.
I don't think it's that bad, though. I mean, the gold lead isn't that big right now. 3,000 gold at 16 minutes in isn't absolutely awful. It's going to grow a little bit more, though, this tier 1 in the mid lane. But I don't think it's all doom and gloom yet. I think one more Gold Fury going the way of Juggernauts, then we can start talking about substantial leads.
Anytime you've got a Hell on your team, there's always a chance. There's always a chance that, you know, you just don't get anti-healed quite enough and that you're going to be able to get back into the game. But this is how you itemize against Hell.
Yeah.
2
Brawlers beat sticks, BaRRaCCuDDa and QvoFred having one. Variety looks like he might even go for one. He's got a heavy mace. Could go for Jotuns at this stage, but why not 3? I don't think I have a problem with it. Divine Ruin right after Boots. This is how you itemize against a healer because Hell does nothing without her healing.
Terra's only level 11.
With this, okay, if Variety goes for Brawler's Beat Stick, and it's also excellent against Kiki for the record.
And that's why I'm saying no curse, because against Variety and Hell, that's really useful to pick one up. But
I mean, Jeff can still get one. He's level 12. He still hasn't picked up a second relic. And because of the sprint pickup from BaRRaCCuDDa, Jeff might not need to get one.
Maybe that's why he went sprint, actually.
Could
be right on that.
I would like to see the curse still with all the options available and being purchased. And
it's better safe than sorry in my eyes.
I agree.
You don't want to look back and go, if we would have had just a little bit more anti-healing instead of getting the anti-heal. Jeff's in trouble, though. He's got some support from his team. Look at what BaRRa's doing to Calder straight away. Take him out. Destroy the dog, and the ult disappears too.
The whole game he's been going for that one. QvoFred getting hit up by all of the players on the Manticores.
That could be a big pick.
Yammyn with a huge stun and bigger damage actually with the ultimate. Cancels it, but that stun saves the life of his jungler.
Variety was diving in with the ultimate against KiKi, and the backline is there trying to make sure he's forced back, but low mana can't continue.
Yeah, does have the blue buff and thinking about going to proxy that second wave, instead decides to go for where the wave meet a little bit safer without his ultimate or the purification beads he picked up once he hit level 12.
Again, player damage telling the tale of the game that we've seen so far. Right side of the map for Juggernauts. Variety and QvoFred just driving the bus.
And this is where you see emilitoo a little bit further behind now than BaRRaCCuDDa just because of the Gold Fury. The tower's going down too. And emilitoo keeps getting focused as well. You notice now the attention has been brought over to the left-hand side a little bit more. Make sure Emil can't make these rotations to make the impact plays like he normally does in the team when he's playing for energy.
Emil was the one who was keeping Manticores in this during the times where he was making those crazy rotations behind the tier 1 tower. He was beating BaRRaCCuDDa out of lane and making an impact in these team fights. So good adjustment from the Juggernauts to recognize that. Best eventually is going to become a problem. Once he gets a couple more items online, completes that Shaman's Ring, and that evolves to increase his damage that much more, he's going to be very difficult to deal with, but we are still probably about 8 to 10 minutes away from Best becoming a real issue for Juggernauts to deal with. emilitoo's a problem now.
Is that 7 to 10, you said?
To deal with him.
7 to 10?
Yeah, about 8. I was saying 8 to 10, somewhere around there.
Funny enough, that's the clock I've got on a roll, still making an impact even with all this anti-heal in the game. I think that's where the clock is in this game for Juggernauts to continue pushing forward.
Right now, it's exactly what they're going to do. Manticores trying to defend their tier 2 tower here. But will that be a choice that they can actually lean on? We'll have yet to see. Juggernauts shifting onto the right side. You see the portal demon about to respawn, so Juggernauts want control of this area of the map.
They're giving emilitoo a bit of free farm on this left-hand side, though, so he's going to get that tier 1 tower unless no one's going to get there in time for that tier 1 tower to survive. So this is helping him out a little bit more in catching up and staying relevant.
Kiki in here trying to steal away this portal demon.
Reset.
Actually, it's a reset, but a perfect wall from BaRRaCCuDDa. Kiki's got nowhere to go.
Even if he uses the ultimate in time, there's just literally a wall in front of him. BaRRaCCuDDa on the backside with the ultimate. Aror trying to heal, does get out of jail thanks to the cleanse. And a little bit of help from the Terra ult on JeffHindla's side, allowing Juggernauts to go even deeper.
Meanwhile, left-hand side, emilitoo takes the tier 1. Gonna get the tier 2 as well, thanks to the help of QvoFred. Qvo's trying to get busy with Aror in the back, but he's got 2 mates with him. But will he manage to get a kill 3v1? Only 1 more hit needed, but no! Qvo is body blocks, and now he should fall. Aror's hanging around, which is risky. And he'll steal the kill.
Aror steals the kill, but Juggernauts gets the Fire Giant all in his glory. 4 players, BaRRaCCuDDa, Yammyn, Jeff, and BaRRaCCuDDa have the fire belt, and they're ready to go.
Love the decision from Juggernauts to not just get the portal demon in that instance, but also go for the big boy, the Fire Giant. Yammyn, see, I think that might have killed Twig.
I think he would have.
I really do.
Yep.
What's the build right now? I just need to say it's Thoth into... I don't know. No, probably not. It's close, but not close enough.
Divine Ruin. You've
If he had
got
a bit more
20
pen, bit more pen, he would have been
Honestly,
better.
it matters how many passive stacks Twig has.
Now it would have killed him.
Yes.
That's the key. That final pickup is definitely enough for it.
Yeah.
I think if he would have gone for Spirit Desolation of the Divine, obviously needs the Divine for anti-heal, he definitely would have.
It's only 10 more pen. I don't know. I think it would have been enough either way.
Manticore's got the Gold Fury down halfway. And there's BaRRaCCuDDa trying to stop the party. KiKiSoCheeky again gets himself chased out before he can really have an impact on this Vamana.
This is the issue with the Vamana now, is because they've got the Hell, the anti-heal is hurting Vamana too. One of the reasons why Vamana's been struggled on, because when he goes in the ult, just anti-heal him and kill him. Like, he's only walking around as a giant baby.
Nuad takes to the sky, forcing Juggernauts off the objective. So Gold Fury still remains
Kiki's
standing.
dead.
Can't say the same about Kiki. Again, 0, 5, and 0. I just don't understand the Vamana pick.
It's not worked out for them at all, but it's giving Juggernauts this window now to make it an even game and take us to a game 5 where it's basically best of 1.
I mean, Juggernauts, for as bad as they looked through the first 2, have looked equally good in the next.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's kind of what you expect from the best players from Europe and NA combined, right?
Yeah.
In both these teams.
I mean, we're writing QvoFred, like I said, they just it took them a couple of games where they said, you know what? Let's just play our game. We'll, let everybody sort of fall in line. And that's exactly what's happening. BaRRaCCuDDa able to zone out the entirety of the team with a wall. And now Manticore's trying to fight on into it. But still, the tower crumbles like a cookie. And down it goes.
And Qvo and Mig going to push this one down too, keep them busy. The rest of the team could potentially flank around the back. BaRRaCCuDDa takes to the sky, looking for an option. Option chosen was Twig. It wasn't the greatest, but it's working okay.
Twig about half HP. BaRRaCCuDDa taking this tower. Big ultimate from Twig right on top of Jeff, and ML is going to be able to gobble him up with help from QvoFred. BaRRaCCuDda's in a bad spot here. Isolated, but a huge ultimate out of Yammyn.
Oh my. That's just going to force the frontliners all the way back to base, not by choice whatsoever. And now the fight is still going. emilitoo's in trouble too.
He's going to get dove on by BaRRaCCuDDa and QvoFred. The 2-man wrecking crew has been running the game, but TheBest turns it around and blows up QvoFred.
These games are crazy because you've got 3 members of the Order team diving behind a tier 2 of the Chaos team, and they're still going to... Yammyn's going to go down to Aror. Into the sky goes BaRRaCCuDDa. Not a whole lot of damage, but now they can see the split. The chase is on for BaRRaCCuDDa, but with the hammer, he can get away for a minute, but Twig still wants him.
Gets the heal from Aror, finds a slow on to BaRRaCCuDDa, going for the basic attacks in range very soon. Now the target of everybody, emilitoo finishes what Twiggy started, and Aror just helping him out the whole way through.
That team fight changes entirely because of emilitoo's positioning. He comes in, he cleans up one, and then he looks like he's way out of position, but Aegis buys him enough time to get to his team, and waiting around the corner was BaRRaCCuDDa with 3 full clay minions.
Yeah.
Qvo popped to the damage from TheBest. As I mentioned, it's about 7 to 8 minutes until that started to become a problem.
And Hell also got a kill in that fight too, because I said she's on about 7 to 8 minutes as well. Remember, Juggernauts had a Fire Giant there. You can see the remnants of it still on BaRRaCCuDDa. They were taking a fight with a Fire Giant at a tier 2 tower and lost, but maybe Manticore's bit off a little bit too much here.
That's the scariest part about it. That's the scariest part about it. They were fighting into a Fire Giant squad. Oh my goodness. Craziness.
It was a combination of emilitoo bringing him on a merry goose chase, as well as TheBest lining up that clay minion boom. That was huge.
Now, on the other side, while we're talking about how, yes,
Yammyn.
Best is only going to get stronger, Aror is only going to get stronger, in about 5 minutes, Yammyn triple kills them there with that final judgment. Yeah, as soon as that rod is done, this is going to get really scary for the Manticores. So it's just a matter of, can Yammyn outburst the damage from the Manticores? By the way, love the Toxic Blade pickup for BaRRaCCuDDa. Just more attack speed, more penetration, some movement speed, more anti-heal. That stacks with the Brawler's Beat.
Awkward items that we're wondering if we would see Hunters take it on. But Fire Giant's about to spawn. Portal Demon definitely going to be the focus from both teams to begin with. And with that wall from Yammyn, BaRRa's going to swing even harder.
And right now, that's exactly what he's looking for. Manticores trying to slowly gain control of this right side of the map. Juggernauts, on the other hand, they're also kind of slowly finding their spot. Portal Demon picked up by the blue team. Manticores have to respond.
Oh, they don't know that. Juggernauts assume the Manticores are there. That should have been an easy Portal Demon.
Right now, everybody really jockeying for position. We have the Juggernauts here. Let's ride along with them as they take the fight.
There you go.
Do we get Portal in there? Oh, okay.
No, Skadi's here. Healing up.
You know what, ult down. I'm getting okay. Yeah. Vamana dash down.
I'm Vamana.
Yeah, Osiris ult down too. Osiris ult, Vamana ult. Yeah, Osiris and Vamana ults down. Trying to help, I'm trying to get through. Osiris is under tier 2.
Osiris C2 on
Yeah, Osiris under tier 2.
Looking
for a long time. Yeah, looking for a while. Yeah. I'm juking.
Down.
Hell dive one, hell dive one.
Hell 3 down, Hell's almost dead. Hell in tier 2.
I'll blink.
Yeah.
I'm almost
Sky's behind.
Vamana's one shot.
We're also low.
There's no ages.
Guy's gonna go on me. Careful. Yeah, we got kind of fucked by Skadi immune. He does some sick damage.
Well, Aggro, we were saying there's a 7-minute clock in there, and the one thing that we saw at this Portal Demon fight, the biggest thing about the Portal Demon fight here is the resustain of hell consistently to a team, and you saw the Juggernauts getting poked out, and in the comms, they were like, yeah, I'm half health, I want to fall back, I need to resustain. That's what happens.
That's really tough to swallow for the Juggernauts because they really, if they just have Portal there, if they would have committed to doing the Portal when Manticores had backed up far too much, they would have been able to come through the Portal, take the team fight. Instead, it just goes in one by one. Variety gets kind of baited by Qvo saying he had blink. I don't think he looked at the mini-map to see exactly where Qvo was.
Completely tie game. Fire Daddy goes the way of Manticores as well. They have control of the map for the first time all game because Juggernauts have controlled it from minute 1.
Just for you to all know that Kiki is showing the proof of how to feed your way to victory in a game as Vamana so far. He's been doing his job consistently, to be fair to him, but how this game has turned is literally the time on the clock is starting to run out and is showing. You can't get in poke battles with a sustained composition. If you do so, fine. Brawlers will keep you, reduced healing for 8 seconds. But then what about the 9th second, You got to commit within those 8 seconds, otherwise the 9th second, the sustain's coming back through.
The Observer showing us so much healing, anti-healing on the side of Juggernauts. But that's the thing is that, you're able to take a step back and find the anti-heal or find the healing after it all. And Manticores actually just had a good fight independent of Hell healing, which is the biggest thing I want to point out. Hell had an impact by way of damage, but it was just strong positioning and a nice initiation on the way of Manticores. Vamana finally did something, and that's why they win the fight by the Fire Giants.
So that best ult there is just mainly for vision, but you can see the new symbol from the Shaman's Ring on them too. I wasn't sure how that would look in Spectator because I've not seen it yet, but after seeing that one I can get it. Generally, every ability where you are marked by that character does an additional 10% damage.
Not only abilities, but auto attacks as well. Not as impactful for Nuwa, but on characters like Sol, Freya, Kronos, even Poseidon. You drop the Whirlpool, pop the Trident. Yeah, you're swinging.
Thoth as well. Don't forget about the window helping out him.
That's true.
Yep, you're getting 2 procs of
Definitely more scared of Poseidon, though, that's for sure. That Trident, 3 swings of that, with an additional 10%. It hurts as it is.
A little scary. A little scary, just like the Manticores here. Still trailing in kills.
They could close this out now, honestly, with how Manticores are looking. Fire Giant and 5 members. extra sustain added to their name once again. Can we just say healing done? I just want to see how the healing is for Aror this game. Take into account all the anti-heal in the game.
21,000.
That's through. He was at 24k, I believe, the last time we saw it.
Yep.
It was like
When we
20.
looked
Yeah,
at it.
it got to like
But
27.
so it's let's go by healing per minute. Last time it was over 1,000 HPN. He was hitting about it was about 25 minutes of the game, and we were seeing like 29k. This significantly less. You see 30 minutes on the clock, 21,000 healing. So that gives you a little bit of a frame of mind how much the anti-heal is impacting it. But again, the Minotaurs, this team fight is much more than just the hell. It's a big part of it, but it's everyone else.
And again, no cursed Onk. We were looking at Variety's heavy mace. That turned into a Jotun's Wrath.
Yep.
No anti-heal there. Don't get me wrong, there is plenty on the side of Juggernauts, but as you mentioned, Hindu, you don't want to be left sitting there and thinking, was it enough?
Was it enough? And emilitoo, once again, 6, 1, and 4 so far in this game.
Yammyn.
He's sneaking.
Yammyn.
He's sneaking.
He's got it through the wall, looking for the ultimate.
He's got no wall. Got no wall.
Cancel it.
He needs his wall first of all to really get the range on this, to really cause a problem. He's just looking to flank and really get the big ult off, and this could be it. The wall's down.
Nobody knows he's there. Right through the team fight.
Not
800 damage, but it's not enough. Now it's emilitoo dealing damage to the support. JeffHindla goes down without a care, but Variety comes through with a big old Thor ult.
Big spin to win, but Variety can't land his double tap. Still going to get away from it as Kiki is keeping the rest of the zone alive. The backline, Fire Giant and Hell,
Yammyn.
sustaining back up once more, and BaRRa and Qvo are going to have to surrender the Phoenix.
There's the Phoenix on the left-hand side. 25% make that 0. Firebird goes down. Manticore shifting over to the mid lane, looking for the same result here, right in the middle.
This Fire Giant sustain, the Hell sustain. How do you deal with it? Qvo blinks in, trying to do his best, but the Phoenix already getting low. BaRRa, very low. Good wall from Variety to knock off the damage dealers from chasing down
But they
BaRRa.
got what they wanted. All they care about Manticores is these Phoenixes. The Fire Giant buff still ticking away. Still relatively, well, not as fresh as it used to be. It's going to wear off in a second, and that's it. But they could get this third Phoenix. A little bit tricky without minions. Variety to the sky.
And he's looking for the target, lands on the back line. Kiki's in trouble. Very low is the warrior. QvoFred helps out, taking down the best. Up to the sky he goes, looking for emilitoo. 25% on the hunter, and now turn it around. Qvo, double.
If they decide this, they could potentially end, and that might be the right call with how this game's looking, but they've got to run them down. Qvo's going to continue the chase. Variety with the walls too. Jeff with those pillars can cause problems, but the recommit.
The re-engage. BaRRa's ult doesn't do a lot
Qvo.
there. Twig, he's going to find Qvo. Kiki trying to push BaRRa out of this team fight, going in here with Aror right next to him.
Goes for the dash, couldn't find the knock-up. If BaRRa gets knocked up, BaRRa gets knocked down and dies. Instead, BaRRa stays alive, takes out the sustain. CaptainTwig is arguably next. 20 seconds left on TheBest. They have to go for the win here, folks.
I don't
No,
know if they
they
can.
can't.
They
They
can't.
can't.
now.
They can't.
Too
They
You
low
gotta
now.
go.
They
You go
can't.
portal demon. You go portal demon into Fire Giant.
you're gonna have-
You allow Yammyn
So-
to push this left side, but you gotta be careful. You gotta make sure you back before Best spawns because this is a double or triple kill
3,
potentially waiting to happen.
2, 1. It's going to take about half a second for the cast. Up he goes and
Gets
one.
one.
Variety falls down. BaRRaCCuDDa gets his back stopped. But
That was
that's
a say.
fun.
That was
Outplayed
that
yet
was
again by
the
TheBest.
best skill shy I've seen cast in this entire tournament. Well played, Best.
Oh, man, we almost went a whole new game without hearing
I
the
can't
skill
help
shot
it,
call.
man. I can't help it.
Oh, man.
Outskilled again.
Real
help
talk.
it.
Fire Giant halfway down. Best can really tussle here.
So can emilitoo. Emil has been the big problem.
But
this
Emil's going to
game.
get engaged on by Qvo, and
Oh
Emil's
my
already at
God.
half health. Emil's at no
Oh.
health. BaRRa says, hello, friend. I've got a bat with me, and I'll get a double kill. And now the Fire Giant is ours.
Did you see BaRRa's face right there? That was him remembering what it's like to have old sprint back because he popped his own sprint
I know.
and said, ooh, that felt good. He just got right up in there and knocked down TheBest. Big damage between those two players.
Makes them immune to base attack movement penalties in bright yellow, in case you needed it highlighted one more time.
I've been really salty about knowing that was in there because I knew eventually everybody would start to realize, hang on a second.
Yeah.
This was meta back in Season 1 for a reason for all the hunters. And it's probably going to be meta again because it's not just the hunters that'll get it, it's the whole team.
Ye old gas pedal. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, like them dinosaurs.
The good old days, man. I'm happy about it.
That's
Well,
a big fight for Juggernauts.
at
though.
least
This game's
until
not-
it kills me.
This game's not done, though, because Juggernauts have 2 Phoenixes down for a little bit more time. 2 Tier 2 towers still remaining, which arguably it will take a little bit of time now for the Juggernauts to bring down and group up for. And Manticores are now back as a 5-man again. They bit off a bit too much there. That's what went wrong. They got 2 Phoenixes, they went for the 3rd, and they all died. That gave Juggernauts this window.
And it was all down to, and I don't fault Kiki for this, it's just BaRRa with the better positioning. If Kiki finds the knock-up with that clear the path on a BaRRaCCuDDa, he kills BaRRaCCuDDa in the air, and that goes to Manticores. They wipe the team, and they go for the 3-man win.
And look at the call from Manticores. They don't have a Fire Giant, but what they do have is 2 Fire Minion waves pushing down the left and middle lane. So you know what we do? We can 5-man commit to the right-hand side, force you all to come over. The Fire Minions will eventually push down those lanes and take the Phoenixes again.
Most importantly, they have all their defensive relics up. That 2-man engagement by BaRRa and Qvo up against BaRRaCCuDDa and emilitoo goes so heavily in the Juggernauts' favor because neither had any relics.
The one thing I want to happen is that we see Thorns pop by Kiki and Twig at the same time, and Yammyn kills himself in 1 ult.
I would like to see that.
That would be amazing.
I would also like to see that.
As a non-mage player,
One of those, please.
One of those, please. On order, please.
Both Phoenixes have now respawned, and that's what Juggernauts were so tasked. That's what they were so busy doing, was pushing up these waves to make sure that the minions wouldn't take down the Firebirds. Now, with all 3 Phoenixes alive, Manticore's back one more time. This is as sudden death as the game gets. The next team fight wins.
Now, there's a couple of things that we could see the Manticores do this game, too. They could go for a split push backdoor option on some of these Phoenixes using emilitoo and KvoFred. Obviously, KvoFred doesn't remove backdoor protections, but at this stage of the game, a weakened Phoenix won't last too long against a full build. And when you've also got TheBest who has that new War ultimate, he can give vision of where people are, so that is a way of getting him in there safely and knowing the right timing. But then the Juggernauts, we've seen their team fights. We've seen their team fights. They can be strong. The early game, it was all them. But as it's gone on, it's been the sustain and damage of the Manticores that have put them into this spot.
I mean, QvoFred still bringing the hurt. Variety's damage kind of falls off, but his control is certainly still there. Has the ultimate and the Tectonic Rift available if he wants to find the long-range stun. And not just the stun, but the geometry of the wall has been used very intelligently. Right here is the Siege. Looking forward for everybody as the Juggernauts. Not going to be in the back line as Variety. Did hear the teleport, but not used as offensively as we're used to.
I like this call from the Juggernauts. Make sure that this is a next team fight win scenario. Knock down these structures while you still have the Fire Giant. Use that sustain to your advantage. Still not as good as the sustain from the Manticores, but at least you have some more now.
I like the call from the Manticores. Let's just give up this weakened tier 2 tower. Waste out this Fire Giant buff. Don't wait for them to have less sustain than us, and then we can fight again, because we've shown mid-late game we've won every team fight, apart from the one that we hung around too long.
Fire Giant just barely left on these guys. You know, a minute and 10, what is it, 10 seconds left? Like, it's
not much.
That's exactly what Manticores wanted. Now we'll fight on even keel. Manticores,
and that's why they're pushing forward too.
Yeah.
That's why you see the Manticores pushing forward, because they know it's going to wear off any second. As soon as they do, if someone's lazy backing or out of position, well, the tables have turned.
QvoFred in position for the Portal Demon. Almost 40 minutes on the clock here. This would be the series should Manticores turn this one around, and Juggernauts looking to stretch this to the final game of a 5-game set. 23-19. The gold is irrelevant, but the story has been Juggernauts all game. Manticores fighting their way back in the final minutes. The Portal Demon being fought over, controlled by the Manticores. There's the up-down from TheBest. And that Portal Demon will go the way of Manticores.
That's effective poke that we just saw with the new war being used then. Effective poke that could cause more problems. Yammyn's Aegis is down, and he's dead before he can ult.
There's the damage coming out. Kiki chasing BaRRaCCuDDa all the way out of the back line. BaRRaCCuDDa has been the damage dealer. There's trouble as JeffHindla protecting, but who's he protecting? QvoFred's just slowly going around on the ice, and now he's going down to the fire. That's Kiki getting a kill out of BaRRaCCuDDa. JeffHindla's down. Variety's the only one left. That's game.
emilitoo hid inside the fog too. As they were looking around, running for him, he's just hiding in the fog with KvoFred going, no, please, leave me alone. As the rest of his team put the beat down on. New War late game, you ult, they're half health, we can't fight anymore.
The whole team laughing. Kiki going towards the Titan. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dark Horse take it all. The finalists go to the Manticores.
Supposedly the weakest draft anyone could have done. And the cheesy grins on their faces show that they weren't worried maybe for a second, but not much.
Really, really well played by the Mantacores, no doubt about it. Their team synergy really came through in the end. The cohesive calls ends up paying big dividends. The champions of the Energy Invitational.
Everyone's like, yeah, we hug him.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
We don't do this. I've won loads of these tournaments. I don't know what this one's
I've never
about.
hugged once.
Again, I do want to shout out all of the players involved. This
Every
is an
single one.
invitational.
Yeah.
First place, obviously a big deal, but Variety goes down, taunting, smiling on his camera. This was a great weekend for everyone.
And credit to the Juggernauts too. We just mentioned they did a semi-final. We went all 3 games. That was a 4-game set that they nearly took to a game 5 with how the start of that last game looked. Fantastic.
Just looking at these plays, I think this is what a lot of the players kind of needed coming into the fall split. Summer and spring are their journeys in their own right, but then when it comes time to the fall split, you're getting ready for Worlds, you're getting ready for the big bang. And seeing this one, a little bit of fun on Saturday, a little bit of fun on Sunday, but still nose to the grindstone. I think a lot of people are happy.
I mean, emilitoo, for me, was the standout player for the Mantacores. I mean, his performance in that game keeps them through the early game. His rotations out of duo lane, he's sitting at 4-0, something like that. Really impressive Skadi play throughout that entire set. Emil played out of his mind.
I think Emil was MVP for the tournament for me personally. I love the fact that adapting him. I've got to admit it, and I don't want to, but emilitoo's really good. But it's like, God damn it, I don't want to say that about him, but I have to because he really played out of his skin.
I mean, Emil definitely did it, but I'm still looking, if you remove the Vamana game, I'm still looking at Kiki, and even more so, TheBest. Those two players combined for just incredible prowess. I think some of the earlier Thoth games were won off of that play alone.
I mean, everyone on Mantacores played insane. I mean, you don't win an event up against rosters like that without playing really, really well. Everyone had a standout game, at least one. I agree with you. Best and Kiki really showed up this weekend, but man, Emil is just... Every time I see Emil play on LAN, it blows me away.
This was just a prelude towards the SPL fall split. We get to see all these players take part again. Obviously, not on the same teams, but this is the caliber of player we've got going in to the second half of Season 4.
Last thoughts before we throw it to the desk and say goodbye. Hindu Man, what was your highlight of today?
Finishing.
Okay.
I just want to go home. I was like,
all right.
I was going to make it. Listen, I was going to make
Hindu had no fun.
I was going to make a really BM joke at you, and I was like, you know what? You guys did well today. This was a good finals that we casted, so I won't be mean. So I was like, nothing.
Do you have anything to follow that up with, Ryan?
Yeah, I think QvoFred's crit off the monkey bounce on jumping onto ML. That was really cool and fun and stuff.
Yeah.
I liked that. One thing that I really loved was I loved the Hell play and the fact that the last game wasn't all, well, Hell got to late game, so obviously they won.
Sure.
Hell was a part of it, but it was all about the team. Loved that stuff. Let's bring it down to the desk. It's Taco and the other guy.
Hello, everyone. I am the other guy, also known as That Guy LHS. Joining me is Taco again. What games we saw today?
Pretty fantastic considering all the variety in drafts, no pun intended for that one. It's just such a interesting word whenever he's on the scene, but realistically, all of these teams, especially in these last couple of matches, I mean, I know I said 3-1 BaRRa, but I meant to say the other way around. It still works out all the same, but either way, I really just loved how they were willing to go out on a branch during this kind of event, and so you could tell there was a little bit of fun added in with the seriousness.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that Aror picking Hell first pick, I mean, that is definitely, a troll cheese pick and kind of poking fun at yesterday's Assault game, but it worked. So if it works, it's not really cheese and it's not really troll, right? I mean, that's how that works.
I mean, hi-rez ruined Hell, so I don't really know what else to say other than that. And
all right, before we go down deep into our finals game, let's take a look at the bracket for today and see how we got to these finals games. We started our day off with Minotaurs and Titans. Minotaurs kind of slapping Titans around, getting that 2-0. Then we saw Juggernauts and Minotaurs go 2-1. And then we just saw, Minotaurs finding the wins over Juggernauts, who were the favorites. So it's really funny to see the favorite team and the least favorite team in the finals and seeing those underdogs take the W's.
And again, that is really just kudos to Aror's team and all around. Everybody on that team, like Agra mentioned, had a standout game, at least one game out of every single set that they played in. And I thought that was just absolutely fantastic. All of them just having that standout moment when they're considered that workhorse that you like to mention them as. And it's just awesome whenever you see like these kind of rosters and these teams really just come together and play off of each other.
There was so much synergy in those games. Looking at game one and that workhorse and the way that this team worked together, you've got Aror and Kiki. Aror on the Hell and then Kiki on the Camazotz. And the synergy of Kiki kind of distracting everybody in the solo lane, letting Aror get ahead, or not really even ahead, he just wasn't bothered. And then the late game comes like, oh wow, there's a Hell that we've just forgot about for 20 minutes.
There was 100% the Kiki aspect, but I think that it was just hilarious. Multiple times of Aror just running around the map, everybody trying to take out the healer because he's providing so much to his team, and they just can't shut him down.
It's both sides. It's Kiki kind of taking the pressure off, then it's Aror doing Aror things, kind of running around, nobody being able to stop him. The synergy and just like the way that they set up this team comp and just playing on that next level. I mean, all of these guys are just super smart, and with Aror leading that team and knowing how that breaks down, he knows all the numbers. So going into this game, he just kind of had this other idea of what he was wanting to do, and they just executed so well.
It's one of the more fun aspects of competitive Smite, because while a pick isn't necessarily going to be very strong in an environment where you don't have communication with every single member on your team, that is what's so much fun, because you can bring out the Hells, you can bring out the Skadis and just run rampant nonstop, and that is just all around, I think, what makes competitive so much more fun than like typical Smite.
Speaking of running rampant, you can't say those words and not mention TheBest on Thoth. All day on the Thoth, making the big impact plays, just doing what he wanted, hitting these stuns time and time again, and just whipping his camera around to hit those stuns off of nowhere. TheBest on Thoth is not a matchup I ever want to see.
Certainly a tribute to American Sniper all day long today, and it's also because, you know, when you think about Best, you're just like, oh, this guy plays Raw and Scylla, and every now and then you'll see something different, and the Thoth that he was still able to maintain so much presence on, despite how passive at times his positioning would seem, he was still pretty much just ready, letting his team go ahead, frontline for him, and then immediately follow up with the damage.
Even with that passive playstyle, it kind of just fits in with what TheBest wants to do on Thoth. He wants to kind of sit in the back, be artillery, and then when he sees a moment to kind of stun somebody or lock somebody down or delete somebody, then he can dash forward and do that. But you know, he's completely perfectly content just kind of sitting back and letting everybody else kind of set him up to then finish everything off.
Yeah, definitely just a ton of composure all around from this squad, and I think that they've got to be feeling themselves a little bit after a performance like that. I mean, the only, other than that one game that they dropped in their own set, like the only other time they lost was in the Joust round, I believe, to Ataraxia's Team Titans.
That's right. You know, this is just a team that came in and performed very well. We keep saying it. We keep saying the workhorse. We keep saying the synergy. But let's take a look at game number 3 for the Juggernauts. QvoFred just going off what he's 15-1 on this Camazotz. Just ridiculous numbers.
Oh, it was pretty nutty getting to watch him perform on the Humbots. He was just non-stop all over the place. Kind of similar to what we saw from Adapting earlier in his set as well. It was just so much maneuvering throughout that back line, and those RNG crits all day long. I mean, you gotta admit, there is a little bit of luck involved with this god, but Variety had both of them. He had the skill and he had the luck on his side.
Qvo in this game, the combination between him and Variety, they ran wild. They kept Kiki in check. I mean, Kiki had been making a lot of impact in these games, but kind of slowing it down that rotation presence, that his ability to get ahead. I mean, and then rotating to the other side of the map and kind of taking advantage of, you know, the Hunbat's crit god. You know, you gotta give him props for being able to make that work and finding those plays and just coming back from that 2-0 and fighting into that game and really showing that, like, hey, we're here for a reason as well.
I mean, you mentioned them fighting back into that game, but I feel as though game number 4 was kind of the same story almost for both sides. It was never really an issue of either side throwing as much as it was just both of these teams combating against each other and butting heads so often that it was really just by the scrape of like one death or one pick that was pretty much the determining factor for those team fights.
Game number 4 was definitely the back and forth. I mean, the early game definitely looked like it was favoring Juggernauts, and then Minotaurs would come back and find their fights, here and there, and then it just kind of swung back and forth, and nobody could really get the foothold. And then we started seeing, as the game kind of got longer, the anti-heal was there, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, they threw out the stat. I mean, there was 29,000 healing in that first game, and then there was only 21,000 even longer. I mean, that's ridiculous. But, at the end of the day, you can't shut down Hell. You can't shut down Aror. These guys are just doing what they need to do. emilitoo, though, on that Skadi that BaRRaCCuDDa's been favoring all day, showing him, hey, you're not the only one that can do it. Let me show you how it's really done.
For good reason. I mean, KvoFred is excellent. He can body block, he can eat auto attacks, he can get in the way, basically, and chase down for the damage. Plus, you have your permafrost, which gives you all that 40% movement speed, so you're just speedy as hell, and on top of that, you're doing massive amounts of damage.
Massive amounts of damage. You've got, you got a Terra there, so, you're getting people to bounce off of walls and stuff. I mean, and there's so many things with that Skadi pick that just, is very frustrating if you're, caught in that permafrost and, it's just sliding around.
It's just an advantage that you can hold for your team if you have, like I said, the comms with these other members. I think that was our early big saving grace for the Minotaurs, was the fact that they were able to establish that synergy off of their comms so early on in the competition.
All right, so that's it for the competitive side, but we still got some promos going on for you. Don't forget, HRX tickets are now on sale, and the early bird discount has been extended until September 9th. You got to get your tickets. You don't want to miss HRX.
It's certainly something to keep an eye out for, especially considering the tickets around November, October-ish last year were selling out, but now this time around it's actually been selling faster. I mean, Stu was even able to confirm that. So if you're thinking about going to HRX, it's an awesome experience. You're going to have a great time, and I would definitely recommend the sooner the better.
And don't forget, you can support your favorite team. You can support the Minotaurs as our NRG Invitational champs, getting one of these sleek jerseys from Into the AM. I believe they're only available for a limited time through Into the AM as well.
That makes perfect sense. Into the AM. I mean, I love their clothing products, so I have a lot of their stuff myself. So
yeah, I mean, the partnership with SMITE has been a lot of cool stuff. You got the Uller hoodie. I got a Capri blanket because I got to support that support lifestyle.
Yeah, Maddie and I picked up pretty much everything from their store.
Everything. Oh my god. All right. So, and then our last one is the NRG Chrono skin. Follow and retweet at NRGGG for a chance to win this skin. It's got the voice pack. It's got the looks. This is just a great team skin.
Plus, Chronos is just silly. I'll say silly because I don't want to say anything else, but Chronos is a lot of fun right now if you're thinking about trying somebody else out.
Mage ADC again? Oh my god, we're going to have a run back for Worlds.
It's definitely a Mage ADC meta all the way.
All right. Everybody's most fun time of year. But that's it for us on the desk. Let's throw it to Toli with Team Manticore.
Thank you, Zach and Taco. I'm here with the Minotaur squad, Aror the captain. I don't know if you heard it over the headset, but everybody's here just having a blast and giggles, a bunch of laugh. How much fun did you guys have in that last set?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I don't know, hell.
Well, that was yesterday, that assault match. 5 hells against 5 Ullers. What was your mindset going into that loading screen?
Yeah, our mindset for yesterday was that we wanted to just preview all the teams for today. We were showing that we played hell twice, so we gave them a hint, but they didn't take it.
So fun fact, this LAN was actually the first time that North America got a chance to participate in any LAN this year and actually won a tournament as well. Is there any sort of secret strategy to that?
Just having 3 NAs.
3 NAs superior?
Yeah, 3 NAs superior to 2 NAs. Or 2 NAs, 3.
Yeah, 3 NAs is definitely superior to 2 NAs. But I got to ask you, Twig, though, real quick. This last set, game 1, Osiris. Game 2, Osiris. 3 and 4. Do you play anything else?
Well, you know me. I like to flex my god pulls, Osiris every game. He's just too good, I think.
Not too shabby performance out of the jungler. But I also got to ask you about game number 1 and 4, the hell pick. Why?
Hell. I don't know why. It was just I was like, I want to play hell. I've tried it a couple times in ranked. Everybody see me running around with that Aphrodite hell lanes. Everybody definitely try that in your ranked games.
So you actually think that hell and healing is going to come back here in the fall split, at least in SPL Season 4?
I don't know. Those games were kind of like ranked games. Like they're like right in between ranked and like SPL games. They're like some weird area. So I don't know how good Hell actually is, but she seemed pretty decent in these games.
Best, how do you rate this tournament compared to every other tournament in the fun factor?
Over 9,000.
Over 9,000. I mean, we're just all a bunch of meme lords, apparently. What about you, Emil? How was this tournament for you?
It was awesome. I mean, I knew I was going to win, but it's fun to watch my teammates lose.
How did it feel to beat some of your energy teammates, though?
It felt great, because no one thought I would win, and I knew I would win. So
that makes you the best energy member, right?
Exactly.
Well, you heard it here from the Minotaurs. So do you guys have like a specific saying now that you want to say for your fans?
No.
No? I was going to say, remember the Manticore, but thank you guys so much at home on behalf of all the casters, the production, the admins, and everybody else. Thank you for watching this Energy Invitational, and stay tuned on August 19th and 20th for the SPL relegations.